Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at day 24 of the 100 Days of Zentangle Project 2020. Thank you to my viewers, new and dedicated, and those of you who were with me last year and those who are new this year. Welcome to all of you. It has been a wonderful experience sharing these last 4 days with you. And I'm just so grateful to have found some tangling companions in this time. So before I get all off on a tangent, today's tangle is going to be one that has been around for a little bit. It is called COIL. It is by Sue Jacobs, and I have, from almost my beginning breaths in tangling, I have loved this pattern. In the original step out, and these are just really rough examples for you to sort of get an idea of where we're going. But the original step out for COIL, it has sort of a rod woven through it and something sort of woven around there. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to set this up. But I did this one by drawing in a beginning stroke for membrane art, or 2 beginning strokes for membrane art in pencil, and using that as a border. So you can curve it, you can do it straight, you can put these very cool little orbs, which are my very favorite things. So there's lots of possibilities here. So let me show you how this tangle is set up and how I do it, and we'll move on from there. So in her step out, Sue has a couple of options that you can use. And I'm going to do this one of those ways and show you the original step out. So what I've drawn here is a single pencil line. This could be a string line, a border line, any line that you would like it to be. We're going to do this one time vertically, and or 2 times vertically and some curved because I need it. So one of the options that you can use for this method is that Sue has a penciled line in, and then on each side of this she's going to put light, and I don't know that you can see these. Let me zoom. She's going to put these light little dots, and I'm going to make these a little bit darker for you than I would normally do. And we're going to make these in an approximate square or in a cylinder shape. Trying to keep these dots parallel. And we're just using that pencil line as sort of a down the middle of the row. Or down the middle of the, I don't know. Down the middle of something. You got too crazy with that one? All right. So this is where we're going to start, as it is in the step out. Okay, then you guys remember these lazy S shapes that we use for our cadent tangle. We're going to do some of those this way, but we're not going to take off over and make a big circle over. We're going to make a very lazy S and just curve right in there and let that be all the curve that we're going to accomplish. Okay, let's do another. Next one over. Not too much curve. Just like that. Lazy S's. If some of them happen to be a little further away, it's okay. We're going to all catch up. I was worried when I started messing with this that it might be a little bit too difficult, but it's actually fairly forgiving, I have found. Okay, so this is what we have now. The next step is going to be, we're going to join these up into pairs. of S's. And it's just a pretty straight line. Might put a tiny bit of curve in it. And then you're going to skip one, so make a space blank, and then you're going to connect the next two. All right, continuing. And so off the page. All right, so this is where we are now. Next step, pretty easy, and especially with this method of drawing it, this is a very easy step. We're going to take this S curve and we're going to continue it over to where it is about halfway between this dot and the midpoint of where the line is, okay? And it doesn't have to be exact, but it's pretty consistent, okay? So just about halfway, midway between. They don't have to be exact. And each one you're just going to follow the natural curve and come down to the midpoint right there. Okay, one more. Following the line down to the point between. Now, turn your tile upside down at 180 degrees. We're going to do this going the other direction. All right. Once again, we're going to be aiming for the point between the dot and the middle line. So following this curve in a natural way, about like that. And doing this one. Very nice. And one more. And you'll notice some of mine got a little further down than others, but it's going to all work out. Don't worry. All right, here comes the magical part. Sue, in her original step out, has something that looks like an iron rod, or it doesn't have to be iron, it could be some other thing. Well, it is a pair of parallel lines that runs hollabaugh fashion through here, meaning that it looks as if it were drawn behind. And I have got a little wiggle motion going on right now, so this one is going to be a little untidy, but you guys get where I'm going. And so if you want, then you can, give yourself a little rounded end, make something look interesting, however you want that to, whoops, I did all that off camera. So you can, do your little hatch marks. If you like to, you can make this as realistic or as flat as you want. Okay. And that is your tangle. That is the COIL tangle. Now, the version that I like is this one with the orbs in it. And I have varying degrees of success with that. So we are going to try that with our next section. Now, me being me, let me zoom out a little bit. Me being me, I wanted a way to get rid of the dots, not because I think they're bad, but because I tend to be messy with mine, as you can see, and you can always tell where the little dots fall. So I tried this another way, which was to leave the dots out and try to get an even band of S shapes, open S shapes. Now, I don't know how good I will be at these, but we're going to try it. I'm going to remember not to give up. And I'm just going to try to make them as evenly spaced as I can. Try not to do too many wild ones like that. and they don't have to be exactly straight. Now you'll notice I started sort of diagonal here, and now I'm straight up and down. So it's a good thing to play with. Let's find out what happens. All right, so let's pair this up now, just like we did in the first one. That's a much cleaner look for me. But some of you may have steady hands enough to where you don't have to worry about the dots. That is unfortunately something I do worry with. And you're going to, just as in this version, you're going to skip every other pair. And where it's applicable, or applicable, I am putting just a very slight curve in my lines. Sue draws hers straight across, and that is also just fine. Remember, no mistakes, only differing opinions about how things should look. All right, so this is where we're at. We're going to start over here. Now, we're going to have to figure this out on our own because we don't have that middle line in there, but I think we can. I'm just going to aim slightly higher, more like this. Try to let that line be a natural flow. And I'm going to turn 180 degrees. And I'm going to repeat from the other direction. So following the curve of the line, and not dipping too far down. Okay. Now, let's see what happens if we try putting in our orbs the way that I like this to look. Now, I do have some problems with this because they tend to not look right, but I'm going to give it a shot, and we're going to see what happens. So I want to tuck this in a little bit like we do on Perk. And I'm speaking of the Zentangle pattern Perk, P-U-R-K, and we sort of tuck the little orbs in behind, and sort of in this fashion. It's not much, but it's just a little bit that gives them the impression of being behind. So I'm going to try that again here. Well, I'm bound and determined for that to be too high up. Let's try it again. All right, so this is the way you would set it up. Hopefully yours turns out with a little bit better flow than mine has. All right, and I want to point out at this time that you can do this with this curved edge just like this. But I'm going to show you something really cool over there here in just a second. And so here is where the optical magic happens. Just like we did in membrane art, we're going to have a couple of layers to this, okay? We're going to have this curved S pairs. These are going to be our outer layer. And you can see here the difference between drawing these on the diagonal and drawing these straight up and down, right? Interesting. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to try to differentiate between three different things. We're going to try to differentiate between this outer layer, the orb, and this layer that's behind there. Okay? And one of the ways that we can do that, of course, we've done before, is with these little delicate lines that go across. Like that, to just sort of give a little texture to the back. And trying to keep the angle the same is sometimes difficult. But it doesn't have to be a big deal either. You can also not do this and just shade it. Okay. The other thing we're going to want to do with our pens is draw in some of these little hatch marks that will give us that feeling of curvature to this little ribbony portion. Okay, you can pack these really dense, you can pack them lightly. Okay, and this is how you do one of these little, this type of sparkling, is that you just do these light little pen flicks that go from dark to light, from heavy to light touch wise. And again, if your lines curve, follow the curve of your lines with your hatch marks so that they look like a natural part. Otherwise they look strange. I know this because I have done them strangely. Is it just me, or does that look like a toilet paper roll? Okay, I'll stop, guys. I'll stop. So again, hatch marks. And these are in the step out. She has them fairly loosely placed in the step out. I happen to like mine with a little bit more grit. But that is, again, an artistic preference and nobody's business but yours. Chances are I'll see y'all's and I'll go, oh man, I wish I had done that. So that happens all the time. It's inspiration for us. Okay, so if you're wanting to sparkle something and you're wanting this particular method for that sparkling, it takes time and patience and a heavy to light flick. A little tip for you: if you have old pens that are running out of ink, they are the perfect person or the perfect utensil for doing this type of hatch marking. Okay, and so you would just continue this with hatch marks on each one of these that follow the curves of the lines. Okay, and either doing these, or you can cross hatch these. There's lots of different things you can do. But this is how you approach the tangle. Now, let me show you something cool. I am going to go ahead and do these double lines here as I did this up here. Okay? And I'm going to remember that I'm going to start in the middle up here, and this is going to be up and down. And from here out, when I curve, I'm going to be curving my lines towards the center. Let me show you what I mean. Doesn't really make much sense. Okay, S shape. All right, and I really do want to angle them a little bit more. So I'm going to move this way from here. Whoa. Yes, that's not what I wanted to show you though. So gentle S shape, Cindy. Not too much curve. And as you move, this is naturally going to look like these outer parts are wider than the inner parts, so let them become like that. It'll work just fine. And then once you finish that out, go back to the center and go the other way. Or even better, turn your tile and do the same stroke. And the more you can get in tune with your curves, the easier this will be, because this really will work out. I promise. Okay, so now I'm going to, again, pair up these lines. Skipping one in between. I don't know what happened in there, but it was entertaining, wasn't it? But as I tell you guys, don't give up on it. You never know. You never know, you might have discovered something important. In my case, probably not, but you never do know. So this is what you have Okay. Now I'm going to do, I'm going to change an order up here, and I want to show you something cool that we can do here. And I want to think it through because I'm not sure it's going to work. But what we can do is we can, just as I don't know if I showed you the one with the mucus strand in there, but I thought it would be cool. Nope. Outsmarted myself again. Okay, I should have come down over here. Sort of a Muka 3D. Anyway, this is my thought, is that we can bring tendrils from the inside out here and then close it up. But I'm not sure it would make any difference which order you did this in. Does that make sense at all? Me neither. All right, so that would go, and this would go. I don't know, because, and the reason I'm asking myself this is if we have something coming out here, then is this going to go in front of, okay. So if I did a little mucus strand like that, then I put my back line in, we could definitely do that. We could definitely work with that. So I was thinking, oh, how does that, oh yeah, that one that goes like a floppy flux, and then you do the little echo lines down like that. On your little something. Anyway, there's all kinds of fun little flowery different things you could do and have them come popping out, and then as soon as you have those laid out, then you can put in your lines that come from the back, and that would be another way to do something cool with this tangle. Okay guys, I'm going to call this my tile for today. I'm probably going to finish this out a little bit. I just don't have any energy to keep going. So I'm going to call this a day. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you can think of some of the awesome ways that we can explore tangles like this. And so keep your mind open, your pen ready, and we are going to keep going. We'll see you tomorrow for day 25 as our first quarter comes to an end. I'll see you then.